So you guys know I love Stone Ocean. It's one of my favorite parts, and I also love the antagonist of it, Enrico Pucci. His stand, Whitesnake, is very cool as well, but there is something that has been bothering me about his stand, specifically about his memory disks. So as we know, Pucci has the ability to turn people's souls into two disks. One of them is a stand disk and one of them is a memory disk. He can also make disks out of other things as well, such as eyesight, but it's mainly used for capturing stands and memories. Now, there is a problem with memory disks and what they actually capture. The best example for someone like this is Weather Report. After both Pucci and Weather received their stands, they had a confrontation with each other, resulting in Pucci stealing Weather Report's memory disk. Afterwards, Weather Report has seemingly forgotten everything that happened before he got his memory disk stolen. Now, in the case of Weather Report, he had a complete blackout. There is nothing that he remembers from before. Now, there are two other characters who had their memory disks removed, Jotaro and McQueen, and in both cases it ended up different. Jotaro somehow still knew what was going on after losing his disk. He knew who his daughter was, he called her by her name, he knew what the pendant was for as well, it was sending GPS signals to the submarine. There were a lot of things that Jotaro kind of still remembered, even though he also had his memory disk removed. Now, you can't really argue that Jotaro still remembers these things because they just happened, and that only memories that lie deep in the past are affected by his ability. Otherwise, Weather Report would have remembered that he fought Pucci right before losing his memory. And in McQueen's case, he still knew that he had hidden a lot of money somewhere, but he couldn't remember where he exactly put it after losing his memory disk. He also perfectly remembers the reason why he was in prison in the first place. So there is a lot of inconsistency here with what is actually captured by the memory disk and what isn't. An explanation might be that Whitesnake can choose which parts of someone's memory can be turned into a disk and which parts would be left unaffected. So in Weather Report's case, Pucci straight up decided to take in his entire life, whereas in Jotaro's case, he only took in the moment when he fought against Dio and when he read Dio's diary. And in McQueen's case, for some reason, he turned his interactions with Whitesnake into a memory disk and decided to leave that memory disk inside of McQueen. Those interactions would be where McQueen hides his money and when McQueen received his stand ability by Whitesnake. However, let's say that McQueen somehow has two memory disks, his personal one and the interactions with Whitesnake. You could argue that Whitesnake turned his memories with him into a separate disk so that in case of an emergency, he could simply take out those specific memories. Though I do believe that this is kind of a reach, especially considering how we didn't see Whitesnake insert a memory disk into McQueen in the first place, but rather he only inserted a stand disk. Obviously, this is just me trying to find an excuse, you know? In actuality, it's the opposite of what I just said. At the start of the Marilyn Manson arc, we can see Pucci insert two discs into Mira-Sean. Now, why would he insert two of them if only one is needed for the stand Marilyn Manson? It was never confirmed what the second disc was for, but I believe that it was alluded at the start of episode 11 of Stone Ocean. Pucci claims that he sort of erased the memories Mira-Sean had with Pucci, so it's not like the second disc was any additional memory. It was more like a memory eraser disc slash, like a command disk for, Mira-Sean going after Jolene and her friends, So Pucci can insert discs into people that make them forget their interactions with himself. In episode 12, you can also see that the guard who was ordered to kill Jolene didn't know who ordered him to do so. You can also see a disc inside of his head here as well. So Pucci can insert discs into people that can make them forget their interactions with himself. Beside, of course, giving orders, that's also something that's been established. But maybe those order discs, let's call them that, maybe they also erase, the interactions with Whitesnake or with Pucci, But yeah, that still doesn't explain why McQueen could remember all those things about his past, or why Jotaro was able to still remember who Jolene is and what his plan for escaping was. It's also funny because Whitesnake taunts Jolene by saying that Jotaro doesn't even know who she is, but he's kind of wrong because, he literally did remember her even after losing his memory, But for some reason that changed later on as well. You can see that Jotaro did end up forgetting who Jolene was after he had his stand disk retrieved. So you could maybe argue that it is possible to forget everything after a while, but then again, why does McQueen still remember his backstory perfectly? It feels like as if whenever you come up with an explanation for one case, a mistake forms in another case, you know? It's also questionable as to why Pucci didn't also erase McQueen's memories about having interacted with him, just like he did with Miroshon or the god that shot Jolene, you know? Anyway, comment down below what you think about this. Is it truly an inconsistency or did I make a mistake somewhere? Also, I really want to hit 1000 subs. So if you aren't subscribed and you like this video, it would be cool if you became one of my first 1000 subscribers. See ya!